All right, so welcome to episode 1 of A Matter of Perspective. I have a very special guest on with me. He's a friend of mine right here in town, and he's got 3 lovely children, married, has a great business, and I want to introduce everyone to Jeff Sammis. Jeff, how are you today?
I'm well, and you, Bill?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being brave to come on. I know a lot of people have a story, and especially since that first episode 0 I put out, people want to share it, but they're like, oh, I'm not ready to come out in public and share their story, which is fine, you know? So I really appreciate it. Jeff, the day I made that video saying that I'm finally going to do this podcast, I had an episode with Alex at the bowling alley, and Jeff was there with his kids, and Jeff, swooped right in and helped me and Alex out. So it's very meaningful to have him as my first guest. So Jeff, explain a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Brody and Ethan. And
well, first of all, I just want to say, excuse my background. This is my shop. I'm very busy. Okay, and in the upholstery canvas world this time of year, it's a little crazy.
What's the name of your business, Jeff? To give it a plug.
Straight Line Fabrication.
Okay.
Excellent. Straight Line Fabrication. We're over here in Somerset, so
excellent.
We're right around the corner. But yeah, I have. I was lucky enough to have twin boys born 17 years ago, Brody and Ethan, who were diagnosed with Williams syndrome. It's not a very known, syndrome, but there's more and more data every day coming out on it. They have had open heart surgery, aortic stenosis, which is the most common. There are slight facial features, with the way their noses look and their height. They'll always be, they'll be small children, typically on the thin side, but not all of them are that way. And there's different levels of Williams. Some of them are more severe. Some of them are not so severe for what the boys have. I would say Brody is probably a little bit more severe than Ethan, but that doesn't stop either one of them from doing things that they enjoy.
So how old are the boys now?
The boys are 17.
Wow. 17.
So,
and what age did they have the open heart surgery?
Brody had it. Ethan had it at 2, and then Brody had it a year later at 3. We had to wait for him to get developed a little bit more. Both surgeries were done at the time we lived in Maine. So they were both done up at Maine Medical Center, which is phenomenal. And I wouldn't go anywhere else. If I had to go back take them back, I'd go right back up to Maine Med.
Wow.
They're just, the people up there are amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, typically when you think of New England, you think of Boston, right? As being the premier place, but that's good to hear.
Yeah, but Boston, again, Boston's good. We've been there several times. No doubt Boston is good. I know the people up in Maine, my wife and I do, so it's just a comfort factor.
Sure.
As far as that goes, as far as, having the surgery done. But with anything, when you introduce anesthesia, it's nothing to mess around with.
It's not. Yeah.
The risks are very, very real, and they're very, very high. And they tell you that in the beginning.
Yeah, when out of Alex's, ins and outs of the hospital, that's the time we almost lost him, was when he was under anesthesia. Yeah. It was very difficult.
And they tell you that in the beginning, and it's not, when a doctor says you got to go to anesthesia, everybody gets a big lump in their throat and is like, okay, here we go. And then they try to reassure you, but something, there's always that 1%.
Right.
And that you just don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And it can happen to anybody. Doesn't matter if they have a medical condition or not.
Yeah.
That's the scary thing.
Right.
But
So how's their
anyway.
heart now?
Their hearts are fine. They go on a
Right.
yearly basis for a checkup. They're fine. They're, as you've seen them, Bill, they're
Oh yeah,
loving. They're very
they are.
loving, very affectionate children. That's part of the Williams syndrome kids. They're very always happy-go-lucky. They're always, it doesn't matter, but they're very sensitive to emotional situations. But they're very happy kids. They love affection. They love, being around other people.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. And that's something, I would encourage parents to allow is let their kids be kids. Let
Mm,
them enjoy life. Give them what they can in a safe environment, of
right.
course, but let them enjoy. Bill, we were
It,
discussing earlier, if they want to play ball, let them play ball. Shouldn't stop them. I
right.
know there's a lot of regulations and stuff, but let the kid be a kid. Let
But
them be.
you know as well as I do that, when you have a kid with special needs that, you tend to put them in a bubble, right? You tend to
Yeah,
want to protect them. But
you do.
I agree wholeheartedly that, you try to let them live the best life they can live and yeah, provide it safe, like you were saying. Yeah.
You do, and you are right with saying that. With special kids, we tend to put them in a bubble.
Hmm.
Um, and having my oldest son Cullen, who was way at the opposite end of the spectrum, Cullen even sees that. He keeps them, when they go out. He's 19. It's okay, guys. You're staying with me. You got to, it's watching out all the time.
Right.
Which I got to give it to him. A 19-year-old watching two 17-year-olds. It's a handful.
Sure.
Even for me when they were younger, I had three of them running around. It wasn't easy, but you do. Even today, I still keep my kids kind of in a bubble. No, you
Yeah.
can't do that. No, you
Right.
got to do this. And I'm
Right.
sure, with a lot of things you feel the same way.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I've just learned over the years, at some point, the bubble has to be popped or deflated a little bit to let them experience stuff,
I
whether it's
agree.
good, bad, or indifferent, but not to get them hurt, but
Right.
to protect them.
Right.
You know, my boys, Brody and Ethan probably won't have a driver's license, but I still teach them, how to drive on the tractor, how to, when I'm driving in the car, okay, look both ways,
Yeah.
to give them that sense of, you know, adultness so that
Yeah.
they can feel like they're being, you know,
Yeah.
special and partaking.
Absolutely.
Um, you know, so I'm not going to hold back on that. If they want to try something, hey, let's go try it.
Yeah.
You know, they love
I'm the
skiing.
same way. Yeah, I'm the same way. In fact, yeah, but what Alex is a different case, obviously. So, but yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the parent who, like, me and Beth are a good complement to each other because I'm the parent that kind of
Mhm.
pushes past that bubble a little bit
Yeah,
sometimes, and yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm
So,
not, but I'm not afraid of letting them. If they want to try something,
yeah,
let them try it. I'm going to be cautious about what they're doing to make sure that they're protected and that whoever's watching them or guidance, is going to make sure that they're safe.
right,
Because they don't, that's one thing with these kids, they don't understand danger, the danger
gotcha.
aspect of this. They're too free going, thinking, oh, nothing's going to hurt me.
Hmm.
Or, I don't need to buckle that top buckle on my life jacket. Well, yes, you do, and this is why.
Right,
Um, or I don't need to wear my bike helmet when I'm riding my bike. Well, wait a minute. Yes, you do. And this
right,
is
right,
why, you
right.
know. So there are
Typical
other,
teenage stuff, though, right? What teenager
it's
wants to ride a
typical
bike?
teenage stuff, but it's something that has to be probably more instated,
Right,
and, you know, okay, this has to happen. And this is why it has to happen.
right,
So that way it kind of sinks into their minds, because if you don't, they kind of just, they won't get it.
right.
That's the tough part.
Yep,
Okay, why do we go when we go to the mall? You're gonna stay and walk beside me. You can't be wandering around.
right.
Well, why, Dad?
Mm.
I'm 17. 16. this is why, because there's people that, you think everybody's is a friend. Well,
Right.
everybody's not a friend. You got
Right.
to understand that,
Yep. That's good. Yep.
and
That's
that's
great.
something that has to be instated in these kids. Um, and I see it a lot in Brody and Ethan's friends. They're all very fun loving, and it's taken a lot of time to like you get warmed up to them for them to say, "Hey, I've seen you. You're Brody and Ethan's dad." To engage with you.
Right.
Um, a lot of these kids, you know, don't really have that engagement. And if you walked in and said, "Hey, you're coming with me now," they'd
Mhm.
probably just go with you.
Yeah. Yeah. What we all as parents, we kind of look out for each other's kid, especially in that environment. So
Right.
what type of cognitive delay do they have? Like,
They have delayed with speech and writing. They can type like nobody's means on the computer and email and text and all that, but it's writing and speech. So they both have IEPs
mhm,
through the school system. Um, but writing is very, very is difficult for them. And reading is too. Even though they are in high school, they still read, middle school, less than a middle school level.
mhm,
Um, but it's just progression that they'll have.
mhm.
Um, the writing wise, I'd have to say it's not really something that my wife and I have pushed hard on because they can type a lot of stuff.
Right.
Um, and I have to say their writing's like their dad's. It's chicken scratch. um,
Uh,
but anyway, it is somewhat legible, but it is, those are two of the main, um, cognitive things that go on with them.
right.
Brody is left-handed. Ethan is right-handed. I don't know
Mhm.
if that's, how the genetic thing got in there when everybody
Mm,
in the family is right-handed.
right.
Um, it's just the way it happened.
Yep.
Um, the As far as them going forward in life, they'll always live with my wife and I.
Mhm.
Um, they won't venture out. They'll have to always live with an adult.
Right.
Um, as far as their time goes,
Right.
um, they won't. Could they go to college? Probably, or to some school. Yeah, probably, but they would have to go to an assisted, living type of situation,
Right.
which I'm really not too keen on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they do have special schools for the boys because Williams syndrome kids are what they are musically inclined.
Hmm.
They learn very well through music.
No
So if
kidding.
you played a tune, any tune right now, I bet you $100 they could play it back just as you played it without even seeing you play it, just listening to it.
That is phenomenal. Wow.
So yeah. So Williams kids are very, very smart when it comes to that, especially in the music world,
That part of the brain. Yeah.
that part of the
Yeah.
brain. Yeah.
Wow.
They can pretty much play anything.
They play
Anything.
right now? They play
They
instruments
play
now?
right now. They play drums. They play the drums and they play piano. I've even, they've done a little on their computer, saxophone thing. And
Yeah.
but yeah,
No
they play that
kidding.
right now. So
That is
better than
phenomenal.
me. I
That's funny.
um, but they do play uh the musical instrument. Brody takes piano lessons. He's been doing that now for say he's been doing that probably for 4 years,
That's
five
great.
years, and he loves it. Ethan never quite got into the piano doing it, but Ethan will, after Brody's done, go sit at the piano and play exactly what Brody just played just from hearing it,
Wow.
which is pretty impressive.
That is impressive. Yep.
And they'll hear a song on the radio
Mhm.
and they'll pick the beat up and they'll tap along with the beat and play it right back.
That's great.
And it's pretty neat hearing them that. And as far as singing a song goes, they'll pick the song up and they'll sing it too.
That's great. That's
So,
great.
that's pretty impressive for kids.
Yeah.
It's special. It
Sure
really is
is.
special,
Sure is.
as far as that goes.
Yeah, I
So,
know, we've had the talk with the ARC, about Alex. Alex is 16 and
mhm,
beyond high school, and it's scary. It's definitely scary. Like your boys, Alex will be with us,
yeah,
all the time, and when they start talking about, well, he could live here with this. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm with you on that, Bill. I'm a little, it just doesn't. Something inside me says no,
right,
and I just don't get that warm fuzzy feeling.
You know why? I think I know why. It's our protector in us, right?
I gotta say it is. Yeah, it's our protector. I mean, I my boundaries have gone up on that. I don't, like you, I have security cameras at the house. I can't, and I'm well aware of what goes on there.
I would just hate the fact that, it's the thought of one of our innocent, fun-loving kids being taken advantage of by.
Yeah, I know exactly. And that I don't, God help them anyway.
And you know what? It's probably a little unfair because I'm sure 90% of the people working in that environment are true to themselves and do the right thing and will do the right thing by the boys. But it's that small percentage that
you just don't know. And, I mean, I wish there was more after school that was more local for these kids, like Alex and like Brody and Ethan, even if it was a half a day program, that they could go to for something that would teach them,
a skill,
some of the basic life skills to help them.
Yep.
Even if it took them, a month to learn how to write a check, at least they're learning how to write a check and balance a checkbook, or how to order something, or just to work with these kids. But there's not a lot out there.
No, there isn't. I always joke with Beth, say if I ever won the lottery, that's something I would do, create a little school like that.
Well, you and Beth say the same things Kim and I said. If we ever won the lottery, I'd give a big portion of it to some private school system or something to help do something for these kids. Because there's a number of these kids around that just basically get left out. And nobody really cares, and it's I got to say, it's no fault. It's personally, I don't believe it's no fault of the parents.
Right.
Okay. I think the parents in general, parents really try hard, the majority of them, to give their children, sons, daughters, the best that they can.
Yep.
But it's tough to think about the future down the road, especially when you have a normal teenager, you have your daughter, and they're off at college and they're nursing, doing all this stuff, and that they'll have a successful life, hopefully.
Yep.
And then the other part of it, Bill, is, what happens, and my wife and I think about this all the time with the traveling and stuff we do. What happens to myself, or you and Beth, who's going to take care of Alex then?
Oh yeah. No, that's a very scary thought.
I don't know if anybody's ever, when you think about that, who then Bill is gonna.
Yeah. So that's one of many, many aspects of being a full-time, lifelong caregiver. That's one of the things is, yeah.
And if you get online and start reading about it, it becomes overwhelming.
It does.
I mean, my wife and I have done it, and I just throw my hands up and go, I can't do it. I can't even think about that.
That is exactly what me and Beth did. We were doing it years ago, and we're like, we're just gonna pause it for the future sometime.
Yeah. And and anybody who you talk to says, well, if you want to talk to me, I'm gonna have to charge you this, or it's gonna have to be this, and it's gonna have to be this. That is, I will say, one of the most, right now in my life, I just turned 50. It's one of the stressing.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's one of the stressing things, that does worry my wife and I. If we're traveling, who does take care of my kids?
Yeah.
I have a sister-in-law, a mother-in-law. I got a brother. My mom and dad are up there in their age.
My folks too. Yeah.
Yeah. So who do you trust?
Yeah.
And will there be enough assets left?
Yep.
To help them.
Those are all, we could do a podcast just on that topic, my friend.
Oh my God, we could. It's overwhelming.
I'll have you back on. We'll talk about those things. So one thing, so I don't forget.
Yep.
one thing I want to include as part of this, especially as this develops, is when did you know something wasn't right? And where did you turn to? Like way at the beginning, the Wayback Machine.
When I will say it was when the boys were born, we were very fortunate to have a staff at Maine Medical Center, because they were born in Maine. My kids are maniac. That was on top of their game. Between the doctors and the specialists that were there, they within, doing the fish tests, doing all the exams, they knew, they were in the NICU for, I forget how many, 3+ weeks or whatever it was, because they were little peanuts and needed the Billy lights and they needed all this other stuff. They came to us and told us within, I would say, the first 4 days of being in the hospital. They basically came in and said, your kids, this is what the deal is. And I was kind of like, whoa, I didn't know what to think. First of all, I was happy I had 2 boys. I was shocked that I had 2 boys. I didn't know what the game was. And then my poor wife, who does work in the medical field, she does pediatrics, labor and delivery, knows too much.
Right.
So you have that aspect, and she was trying to educate me. And I don't think anybody is really or can prepare themselves for anything like this, whether it's, hey, I got a Down syndrome, or what Alex's situation is.
Yep.
I think it's one of those things that you're okay, 10 fingers, 10 toes.
Right.
He's got all his eyes, he's breathing, he's got this. Okay, guess what? I think I can deal with the other stuff here. Yeah. Let's just see how this goes.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I looked at it for a while.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I'd be lying to you if I told you it was easy. But it hasn't been.
Right.
It was never easy. And there were times where, I admit, Bill, I was like, I can't deal with this. And I'm sure you felt the same way at times too.
It's just the natural way of things. There's no manual for a mainstream kid, never mind someone, a child who has some sort of, life-changing condition. Right. And it's not an easy road.
Right.
Yep, for sure.
It's not. And I see it all the time. There's parents out there that have kids that are, like Alex, or even more severe, that are permanently bound to a wheelchair, that have something even worse.
Yep.
And I look at them and I see how happy they are. Yep. And knowing inside that they're still hurting, hey, I wish my kid could do this, but they're giving them the best life they can.
Right.
And I'd have to say that would be my biggest and honest advice to people is it shouldn't matter if these kids are different or have something. Give them the best opportunities and the best life experiences you can within your means.
Absolutely.
Don't extend yourself just because, but give them, hey, even if it means driving 10 miles down the road to take them to a bouncy house or a swimming pool.
Yep.
Guess what? They'll always remember that. You know what I mean? Or going down to the beach and going for a walk. Yep. They'll remember that. You don't have to go out and buy them the most exotic things. But just being with them, showing them different aspects, taking them for a walk in the city, Boston, hey,
things we take for granted every day. I agree.
I mean, my oldest, he went to Boston. What is it? Nathaniel Hall there for the first time.
Cullen.
For the first time this past weekend with his girlfriend. Oh my God, Dad, that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, the Freedom Trail. Yeah, the whole.
Yeah, you got to get out, son. Come on.
That's funny. I know.
But even with the boys, we let them do things. If they want to go over a friend's house, we let them go over a friend's house.
Yeah.
They want to go for a bike ride. Yep, you can ride your bike up and down in front of the house. You're not going any further.
Right.
I think, I have the opportunity of doing a lot of traveling up in Maine and down south. So if the opportunity is there, I'll take them with me. I'll take Kim and I'll go and we'll take the twins, and be like, hey, let's go check this out.
That's awesome.
When they were younger, it was believe it or not, it was a little bit easier when they were younger. We could strap them in the car seat and say, you're done. You just sit here. Then they got mobile and that changed the game.
Yep.
But I've been fortunate to have also good friends that have said, hey, bring the boys along. Let's give them this experience. Let's give them that experience.
That's really good. Yeah.
And having that, friendship and background it really makes life a lot easier too.
It does, because they understand and they get it, but not everyone's like that,
No.
Yeah. When you have it's a very complicated thing, and I don't think we can unpack it all here, but there are things you won't get invited to, and it's not done intentionally. It's just that, like, especially at Alex's case, like he's not invited to everything because excitement is one of his triggers, or so
right.
They may know that and say, well, we just won't invite them. And, so.
But, Alex has been over our house. You've been over our house.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool, actually, to have Alex and kids like Alex over. And believe me, we all get, Alex, the time Alex can spend this short, but to give him that opportunity to come and do something different.
Absolutely.
With all these other kids that are kind of at the same, and you get them together, I think it puts life into perspective. Forget everything else,
I got to say, you had us over, I don't know, maybe a year ago, whenever it was. I don't think it was quite a year ago. And I think it was the boys' birthday.
Yeah.
And they were all sitting outside.
Yeah.
Right. All our extraordinary kids with a couple of best buddies there. And the love on that table was palpable. Like it just filled my heart. It is so genuine, and there's no anger, animosity, negativity. It's just all love. Just
even
it's
the
incredible.
Kids, even the best buddies, kids that were there that we had over, I love those kids for what those kids do with kids like Alex, with Cody, with Brody and Ethan, with I can go down the whole list of kids that I know.
Yep.
I gotta say, it's just awesome to know that there are kids out there that still appreciate kids with special, disabilities. And they don't just push them away.
Right.
Like most adults would be like, "Go away!" No. These kids wrap their arms around. I think they were playing Uno or something.
Yeah,
and they were helping each other play, and do their thing. And they didn't have to do that.
Right.
But they did.
Yep.
And it was Bill. It was so loving and comforting to see that. And honestly, Kim and I talk about it all the time. We had COVID and all this mess. Getting back to doing something like that, because we did that for a while where we had, I remember there was a couple of times we tried to have Alex over, but he had some seizures. And I remember, where we just get the kids together.
Yep.
And we just threw a pizza party in the backyard, and we put up a volleyball net, and we did.
Done.
And the kids, they only came over for a couple, like an hour, see whatever it was, but it was the attention span they needed.
Yeah.
It wasn't for a long period of time. It was 2 hours, and it was the attention span the kids needed just to feel something different and experience being with their friends.
Yep. Break up the routine, and
exactly. Yeah.
Alex lives for that social aspect. Alex loves, talks about your boys often too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's Brody and Ethan are the same way. They live in that social aspect, and that's the really only interaction they have is that, the internet,
right.
Is that social kind of, that aspect, and being with them at school.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah. So are there special resources with kids with Williams syndrome? Like, is there Like I know with Dravet, there's like groups that we can go to, support groups. Are there things
There
like
are
that?
special groups. Yes, there are. There's some special groups. Kim's a member. She's involved with some of them. There's several other local families around here that have kids with Williams syndrome, and they do fundraisers. They do like a golf tournament. They had a couple other things, that they did. I tried to get into, as everybody knows, I do sailing and
Mhm.
professional racing, but it wasn't. There was no um, uh, connection with a lot
Right.
of that, so it was hard to
Yeah.
do. Um, but there are special groups that get involved. There are some parent group, mom and dad groups that get involved. They usually do 1 or 2 get-togethers in the summertime. We've gone to a couple of them.
Yep.
They have them at Cold State Park and local area, Springfield and stuff, Wachusett area, which are pretty fun. Seeing all these kids get together.
Sure.
And that's the interesting thing too. When you put Williams syndrome, kids together,
Mhm.
they pretty much all look alike.
Really?
Yeah. They
Really?
all kind of have the same facial features, same demeanor, and which is,
Wow.
it's pretty, when you look at it, you're like, whoa, wow, that is
Mm.
kind of cool. But
Yeah.
it's, a little different.
So what we'll do is, ever listening, I will put in the show notes those links to the Williams syndrome
Yeah.
thing.
They
So
do
if
some
anyone's listening
music
to this,
ones and stuff like that. There's some band
yeah.
camps and stuff like that.
I'll get that from you later, Jeff, and we'll
Yeah.
put it in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
We can definitely do that. So
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah.
But
So
I think
really
this is a
appreciate
great
you coming
idea.
on.
I think this is a great idea you have.
Oh,
And I know you've
thanks.
been kind of, sitting on the fence, but I'll tell you something, Bill. There's nothing
Yeah.
to fear but fear itself. And
Yeah, no,
guess
I
what?
get it. I
We
get it.
took the first step. You
We
took
did.
the
You're my
first
first
step.
guest, brother. So
All
yeah.
right,
So
and
and
from here it's only upward.
yeah, and it was important to me too that it was a dad. I think the Lord worked in this and had a hand in this because I in that episode 0 I talked about writing a book, and then about for dads, and I do have a special place in my heart for us dads, and we can be put down on that ladder. We can be, the priority for us can be pushed way down, and I'm
Right.
sure you felt that.
Yeah,
Through,
I did.
right?
I'll admit it. I did.
Yeah.
I have, and I'm sure
Yep.
you have too.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's like we always feel we want to do more and try to do more, but it's like, how can we do more without stepping out of bounds?
yeah.
And that's the tough part. I wish I could always do more for my kids. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you wish you could always do more for Alex.
Yeah.
I wish I could spend more time with them.
So that's part of that thing is, we
Yeah.
got to work. We got to,
Right.
So guilt plays in there, and
Mhm.
that is very complicated. Yeah, we'll
And I'm
have you back
sure-
on. I plan on doing a special episode just with dads, and we'll do like a forum, and there'll be specific questions that all of us need to answer from our point of view. Yeah.
I think that would be good. And I'd like to see other fathers come in and hear their sides of
Yep.
how they handle life with their
Yeah.
kids. I know it's not easy. I mean, I try to do a lot with my kids as best I can,
Yep.
and do the best I can and try to take them places, as far as that goes. I know it can be stressful, and I know I get looks, but I'll be honest with you, I don't care.
Oh yeah. Looks
I don't
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
he's my son. I love
Yep.
him.
Yep.
And that's not going to change. Yeah, he is different, but guess what?
Yeah.
This is the way it is.
Yeah. That never bothers me. I know it doesn't you. If I get a look, that's that person's issue.
That's that person.
Yeah.
That's that person's issue. And I just keep, go away,
Yeah.
But I would be interested to hear other dads in what they do and what they like to do and what they have issues with, and how do they, perceive doing things and going through life with stuff.
Yeah.
Because I know it's not easy.
No.
It's
not.
taking Alex out by yourself.
Yeah.
I saw that.
I'm the guy who kind of goes out of the bubble. I'm not insinuating Beth never does it, but it's more me.
Right.
And I remember once she went away and it was just me and Alex, I took him mini golfing, right?
Yeah.
Mini golfing. He had a seizure right there. I didn't have his chair with me.
Oh.
And so that was a challenge, picking him up. And his dead weight after the seizure. And he's post-dictal.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, that
Yeah.
was, but you know what? It's the memory he got from playing golf was worth it. Right. And we have a motto in our house. If Alex is smiling, we're smiling.
Yeah. That's a great motto.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I always say Kim always says everything happens on your watch. Whenever I have the kids like it always goes through. So it's like, take the kids off skiing. Yeah. Guess what happens? One of them face plants and gets a concussion. It was on my watch, I take Cullen skiing, snowboarding. Guess what? He broke his elbow. It was on my watch,
That's okay, though. That's all right.
But hey, we got through it. Nobody ended up, we can deal with these things. They all pass,
Yep. That's funny.
But
that's funny.
I think it's just one of those things that I've had to learn how to cope. And that's everything, Bill, from the way I talk to them, the way I act, and things that I do. I've had to learn how to, not get upset and yell and scream. You didn't, mom told you, you can't be doing that. Blah, 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 blah. Clean your plate. I don't want to, Dad. Clean your, it's the tone and I'm still working at it, Bill. I'm like every dad is, but it's how to back off, how to take a deep breath and be like, okay, he's not getting hurt. He's just not listening.
Right.
Okay, Ethan, you need to clear your plate now and put the dishes away. I don't want to, Ethan. It's time to clear your plate and put the dishes away. Right. You're not going to get your iPad back until it's all done.
There you go. That's our incentive is the iPad Yep.
It's one of those things. So it's just learning, not getting upset anymore.
Right.
Taking a deep breath. And yeah, it's taken me a while to practice it, but I will say life has been easier. It's been better. And the boys, and I get more of a reaction back that they do it.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And it's more positive that way.
That's great.
Versus flying off the handle. Like I know a lot of parents do. It does happen. Guys.
You got a single mom who's working all day and has a, special kid. And then, maybe money's tight and, and all that storm of mental stuff goes on and they can snap. I mean, we're all human. I mean, we're all human.
We are. Human. And the one thing I learned, my father, told me is when you get home at night, that lamppost, hang it up at the lamppost and walk in with a smile on.
Yep. I was taught the same thing. Yep.
Big as a pain in the butt my dad was, he was right. You get home at night, hang it up at the lamppost.
Yep.
Walk in with a smile.
Yep.
And go.
Yeah. It's tough to do sometimes though.
It is, Bill. It's very tough to do.
Especially being a business owner, right? It's tough to leave that at the door. Yep.
It is very tough to leave it at the door. And I'll tell you something, you and Beth have a very loving and caring relationship. Kim and I do. Have fun with it. Have fun with the kids and stuff like that. Challenge each other. Kim still challenges me a lot. And I hate losing to a challenge. I do. I did it with kickboxing. Yeah. She came up, Bill, and excuse the punch, says, "You're going to get your ass kicked." And I said, "Oh, yeah?" I went and did it, and I did it for 5, 6 years, 7 years.
That's awesome.
And it was great. It was awesome.
Yep.
And the same thing, I used to, and I admit, Bill, I used to come home and have a couple drinks here and there.
Yep.
And my wife made a bet with me.
Yeah.
You can't go a week. Well, guess what?
Clever.
Guess what?
Yeah.
A week turned into 2.
Yeah.
Then it turned into 3.
That's good.
And I was only having a glass of wine on the weekends.
Yep. That's good.
And that was it.
Yeah. It's easy to go that way.
It is. And people get sucked into that. Yeah. I know a lot of guys that come home from work after a stressful day and it's 4 or 5 drinks and before you know it, they're flying off the handle.
Yep.
Yeah. And your kids pick up on that.
They do.
That's the thing. And if you remember that and say, hey, I don't need to be doing this. Let me go sit with my son. Let me go sit with my daughter.
Right.
Hey, it's a nice day outside. Let's go for a walk just up the block. Come on.
Yep.
How was your day today, son?
Yep.
How was it?
Yep. Communication. Yeah.
It helps the cause, and life does get easier with it.
Does. I agree. Definitely agree. Exercise that patience and yeah, it's tough though, especially.
It is.
Yeah, it's tough. But once, like just what you articulated, Jeff, once you do it, it becomes easier and becomes second nature. Right. And it's, makes for a more harmonious home life. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's anything, I've always, when I started this business over 8 years ago, people told me, you can't do it. You're not going to do it. Mm. We're hugely successful right now.
It's great.
It's unbelievable how successful this has been.
That's great.
As far as that goes. And I guess the one thing that I have always taken as a challenge is don't ever tell me I can't.
Right.
Because I can't. I might not, might take me a little longer to get there, but I can.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think it's just a good motto for anybody, don't think you can't do something. You can. It's all what you put your mind to.
It's all in your mind. Yeah. A lot of it's fear, like even starting this thing, because I know much effort, and time and who wants to hear me talk. But then it's like, well, wait, it's not about you. Like today is all about you and your fit, right? So,
but it's the same thing,
that people listening to this they're really going to benefit, really going to benefit.
There's nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yep.
And if nobody should be afraid of trying something different. Right. Don't be afraid of trying something different because you never know what the outcome be. You may fail, okay, but I think failing, if you look at it prospectively, should help you realize, okay, I failed at this. How can I do it better next time?
Or something else may fall out of that,
Exactly.
And you learn from failures. You do. You gotta, in order to succeed, you gotta fail.
Exactly. You gotta fail. All right, this didn't work out so well this time. All right, what can we do better? All right, we need to have the script has to be this way. This is what it has to be. Fine, let's do it. See what happens.
Yep.
And that's how, I've kind of looked at things this past several years. A lot of people don't know, 19 years ago, my brother was killed defending this country.
Yep.
I don't want to go, I didn't want to have to go down this road. I don't share this a lot. 5 days later, my son was born. My first son was born. So how do you roll with those emotions?
Yeah.
Never mind having 2 children with a disability.
Right.
How do you roll with those emotions?
Yeah.
As a parent, as a grandparent.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put everything in perspective.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is perspective. I mean, that's for sure. Yeah. It's, yep.
But I get up every morning, put my feet on the ground and say, okay, thank you. What adventures are we going to have today?
Yeah. So I don't know if you noticed, Troop 13 did a little work around that memorial there. The one.
I saw that. Yep. I saw that. Thank you. Yep. Then the fire department was over there the other day untangling the flags.
Yeah. Well, it's been windy here. It's been windy. So yeah, life isn't easy, and it is a matter of perspective. When I came up title with this, it's all a matter of perspective and how you view it. And I think, Jeff, a lot of things you brought up today, people can take action on some of them of how they look at life. And, and life's difficult enough as it is. And when you add all these things to it, death in the family or whatever, being a lifelong caregiver, it can be a challenge. So yeah, changing your perspective can certainly lead to a better path for sure. Yep.
And just be respectful, because there's none of that anymore. Just be respectful to people, whether they're in a wheelchair, they look different. It doesn't matter. Just be respectful of them.
Right.
Just because they're different, it doesn't mean they can't succeed and do something.
Right. I agree with that. Yep.
Just be respectful. And enjoy them and enjoy their being for who they are.
Yep.
Yep.
And
let it go from there.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, I appreciate your time. I know time is valuable. And
anytime. This is fun.
You'll be a regular for sure. You'll be a regular.
Do it again.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Any words for a young dad with the child Williams syndrome?
Not just with Williams syndrome, but with any syndrome or anything. Don't be afraid of loving your child for who they are. You know, it shouldn't matter. Just love them, enjoy your time with them, give them a hug every night, and just, comfort them and enjoy their time with you.
I can't think of a better way to end it. That's beautiful, Jeff. That's awesome.
So, yeah.
All right. So we're going to wrap it up here. Jeff, nice seeing you. And
thank you.
We'll see
Great idea you had here, Bill.
Oh,
Great
thanks.
idea.
Thanks. All right, everyone. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next episode. Remember, change your perspective.
Yeah. Take care.